My great-grandmother, Cassandra, recently passed away. She was an ordinary person, but also extraordinary in many ways. She had a story to tell, and I felt like this audience would appreciate it. Cassandra lived to the remarkable age of 106 years old. She had witnessed the greatest period of change in human history. Even for her, going from horse and buggies to landing robots on Mars seemed like the blink of an eye. 2 world wars, several global pandemics, and countless stock market crashes had not killed her. It's as if, in defiance, she smoked like a chimney, drank like a sailor, ate like a glutton, and did all those things that were supposed to be bad and send you to an early grave. Even at her age, she was very spry and independent. She did not suffer fools gladly. She had lived too long to care what others thought of her, and was antisocial at the best of times, and mostly just liked to keep to herself. But when she loved you with all her heart. I was one of those fortunate few. She had lived in the same small, cozy home for all of her life. A home that she had shared with great-grandpa Peter, who had passed away 30 years ago. The house was adorned with all manner of religious artifacts, which she had collected across the span of several continents and several decades. Those who knew her called her Cassie the Blessed, or Cassie the Cursed, behind her back, depending on their perspective. For in her life, luck and fate seemed to be constantly at battle around her. A large part of her longevity was her uncanny ability to avoid being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Perhaps the most memorable example was the holiday she had about 45 years ago. For years they had saved every penny and worked tirelessly to travel all around the UK. Grandpa Peter had spent months managing every meticulous detail, a lifetime habit shaped from being an accountant. Halfway through their trip, they were scheduled to fly to London via Dublin. Arriving at the airport in good spirits, Cassie stopped short of the airline counter and suggested to Peter that they should stay another day. Grandpa was not all that happy about it. It would screw up all the plans he had made, and the penalties would blow their budget. He only relented when Grandma burst into tears, pleading with him, making a public scene. She really did not want to fly that day. He was angry with her for the rest of the day. His attitude did indeed change, though, the following morning. All the papers reported that Flight 712 had crashed that day, with 61 people on board. There were no survivors. To this day, the cause of the crash remains a mystery. Another incident was her first visit to New York in 1945. She and Grandpa were very much looking forward to seeing the view from the top of the Empire State Building. They were in the magnificent Art Deco foyer, waiting for the elevator to the observation deck. When it arrived and was opened by the attendant, Grandma gasped. She turned to Grandpa and said that she needed some air and that they should head out. Outside, discussing how the foggy weather made it a bad day for view anyway, they suddenly heard a loud explosion from above. A plane had crashed into the Empire State Building, sending the elevator crashing down 75 floors. 14 people died in the upper levels from the accident. Throughout her life, there were many more such incidents. A building fire in France in 1953, a fatal bus accident in Kentucky in 1958, a mass shooting in California in 1984, a shipping cruise in Malaysia in 1992. Each and every time, she would narrowly avoid stepping into tragedy, only for death and destruction to follow for others in her wake. People believed that she had a guardian angel looking out for her. She was Cassie the Blessed, and she was Cassie the Cursed. My friend Steve jokingly calls her Schrodinger's grandma. He has a semi-serious theory that Cassie was a localized quantum probability wave function singularity, someone that sucked up all the good luck around her. Nature would then have to compensate by pushing bad luck to everyone else, filling in the void and restoring equilibrium. The last time I saw Grandma Cassie was just a few weeks ago. Our birthdays were just a few days apart, so to save her from travelling across town, we opted for a joint party at her house. Grandma never did like birthday parties, but she baked with me a chocolate cake with chantilly cream and cherries. As I blew out the candles and made my birthday wish, I joked that all I wanted was her secret to long life. She looked at me with sad, serious eyes, while everyone else laughed. Later, she took me aside and said that if that was truly my wish, then she would tell me. But only after the party was finished and we were alone. The remnants of the party cleared up, and the last guests had finally left. I helped Grandma up to her room. Her two Rottweilers, Roger and Hammerstein, followed and took their usual sleeping spots by the foot of the bed. Once she was tucked in and comfortable, I sat by the bedside as she told me a story. It was long ago, one summer's night, when she was asleep in that very bed. She was awoken by the sounds of heavy footsteps on the pavement outside, followed by the steady thunks of a shovel constantly hitting dirt. Curious, she gathered her nightgown and stepped towards the window. She peeked out through her curtains. In the yard was a tall man wearing tattered clothes, digging up her lawn. He was methodical, precise in his movements. Each stroke of the shovel, strong, confident, purposeful. She watched each stroke hypnotically, too afraid to even breathe. After what seemed like a lifetime, he stopped digging and he walked out of view. Grandma craned her neck to try and find him. As she drew the curtains back to change her view, he suddenly appeared just 2 feet from outside the window, facing her and carrying a coffin on his back. Grandma screamed loudly. The stranger barely reacted, except to look up and lock eyes with her and smile. She saw an impossibly wide grin, razor-sharp teeth glinting in the moonlight. Long, black hair framed his long and thin face. Deep yellow eyes, like they were rotting, leered at her. Hearing the scream, her father rushed into the room. He found her on the floor by the window, where she had fainted. In the morning, she investigated the lawn and found it intact. She had her father dig a hole where she had seen the stranger digging, but they uncovered nothing but more dirt, stone, and earthworms. It was just a bad dream, and nothing more. She never spoke of it again to anyone, and she had Rottweilers sleeping with her ever since. In time, she had forgotten all about the stranger. She got married. She had children. She became a loving housewife. Until one day in New Mexico, April 1930. She was traveling across America. She was waiting for the Greyhound at a bus stop. He was there, standing at the back, watching her, grinning, licking his sharp teeth, motioning with his thin fingers for her to come closer. She froze and looked around. No one else seemed to notice this man or even react. Feeling quite vulnerable and unsure if she was going crazy, she stood as far away as possible, desperately counting down the hours for the bus to arrive. When it finally got there, she never did get on. That stranger had gotten on first. He sat down by the window, watching her, never letting her out of his sight, always grinning with those menacing teeth. She watched as the doors closed and the bus pulled away, and she saw the stranger laugh, then sink those teeth into the passenger beside him. That bus was later found stopped at a rail crossing 12 miles south of Albuquerque. It was hit by the westbound Santa Fe mail train number 7, killing 21 people. Most of the victims were burned up beyond recognition from the explosion. Throughout the years, she found that the stranger was always around, always waiting for her. In the elevator at the Empire State Building, at the airport in Dublin, in a taxi, a restaurant in California, boarding a cruise boat in Asia. Each and every time, he would be beckoning, and she would run away. She was Cassie the Blessed, people would think. She must have a guardian angel. She was Cassie the Cursed, she knew, because that stranger was always waiting for her. And until she relented, he kept extracting payment from those around her. Grandma was sobbing at this point. I kissed her forehead and squeezed her hand gently. She looked up, blinked, and smiled. "You're a good boy." She closed her eyes. "I think it's time for you to go home. Please drive safely." She reopened her eyes, her gaze fixed into the distance, along with her receding memories. "I'm so tired, so very tired," she sighed. "It's time now. Time for my rest. Time to go." I tucked her in, turned off the lights, and I told her that I'd see her again soon. Barring a near miss by a drunk driver running a red light, I did manage to get home safely that night. I never did get to see Grandma Cassie again. When I dropped by the following week. She was dead. She was found with a crucifix clutched in her hands. Her neck snapped. Her torso and flesh from her thighs ripped open from large bite wounds. The police report concluded that she had slipped and died when her neck broke. Her dogs, starved from not being fed, began consuming the soft parts of her body. As for myself, I'm not so sure. It has been a few weeks. The shock is fading, but some details still haunt me. Writing this story down helps clear my mind. It helps to think that it is my duty to tell her story, as I was the only person to hear the last words she ever spoke. And to stop thinking that maybe that fateful night in her room, we were not alone, and that those last words she uttered were not meant for me.